Hi, everybody. It is episode 553 of PodQuest.
Hey!
It is Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. I am Chris. With me is Druten.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. Everybody's here.
Yeah.
It's like Smash Brothers in here.
Smash Brothers? Well, how is it like Smash Brothers?
Well, because remember,
Everybody's in it.
remember, the tagline for the latest one was "Everybody's here" or something like that.
No.
Man, don't even pay attention to marketing on your favorite game.
Bro, that was like 8 years ago.
This is fair.
Wait, no, it wasn't.
It
What was that?
came
What
out
was that?
just after the Switch came out, so I don't know how long that's been, but
It Ultimate, right?
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. Holy shit, 2018.
that was a guess.
December
Yeah,
7th, 2018. I swear that
7
game
years
is not
ago.
that old.
Technically more like 6 years ago, but still. Yeah, no, it was... Smash Bros. Only comes out once per console generation.
What was the one on Wii U?
Super Smash Bros.
It was just called Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe technically Super Smash Bros. For Wii U / 3DS.
Oh, right. That was that year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. That is actually like a name that it could be listed under. Wow. Come on, Nintendo. Get better with naming things.
I mean, listen, it was on the Wii U. What do you expect?
True. That is true. But yeah, it does not feel like it's that old of a game. I guess because that's also the one that had DLC coming out the longest.
True.
Yeah, but the last DLC was 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
Sounds about
5
right.
years ago.
Was it really 5 years? No.
Sora Challenger Pack was 2020.
Okay, makes sense, yeah. 5 years.
At least that's what Wikipedia says.
No, that you're about right. I forgot that 2020 was 5 years ago.
That also tracks.
But yeah, they haven't really done any support for it since then. But they haven't released any new characters or anything. And
It really does feel so much more recent than that.
and with the Switch 2 coming out later this year, we're going to get a new Smash Bros. Next year.
Maybe.
We will.
Have they let that guy out of the closet of developing Smash Brothers games yet?
Sakurai?
Yeah.
I mean, he said he was done after Ultimate. That's why Ultimate had everybody. Whether that's true or not, who knows?
He's done, but Nintendo's going to keep it going.
I mean, that's, you never know with Nintendo.
But also it's Nintendo. I mean, no, Nintendo's going to keep it going. They're gonna do another one of those. That's how Nintendo works. It's generally one main one title per console. Generally,
Unless you're Mario Kart, then they just recycle the.
I was just about to say they could just
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8 this
Yeah.
Smash Bros. And
I mean, and
release
that's really what Mario Kart 8 was the Smash Bros. Of Mario Kart 8 because it was the ultimate because it was everything on the DLC. Like that to me may be the only thing that maybe Mario Kart 8 is the last Mario Kart and they just continue to upgrade it moving forward with new stuff, but I know they showed Mario Kart stuff in the trailer for the Switch 2. I just don't remember I don't know if they showed. They never really said if it was new stuff or old.
No, they haven't. They
It
didn't
was-
talk about anything in that little trailer. That was just this thing will exist.
People were like, this is all shit that does not exist in other things so far.
Yeah.
Like, it was tracks that didn't exist.
Yeah, I
But
figured the internet would have peeled that apart.
That could just be DLC.
True.
It'll be a Mario Kart 9. They're going to make
Possible.
people pay $60 for this thing. $70.
I mean, you're saying Nintendo wouldn't charge $70 for DLC?
Fair.
I like Nintendo stuff. Nintendo is very out of touch with all of that, though.
I mean, technically, I haven't paid a penny for my Mario Kart 8 DLC.
Does the DLC for Mario Kart come through the
It's all on the
online?
expansion pass. Yeah.
I wasn't sure because I've actually never done any of the DLC.
Yeah. It's all just different tracks.
I know. They added a
it's-
couple of racers too, right? Link, I think got added after the fact.
That's Mario Kart 8 DLC. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, which is the Switch, had all the characters from Mario Kart 8 as well as their DLC and the DLC tracks from Mario Kart 8 from the Wii U.
Okay, that's
All the DLC that's come from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has primarily been just racer or just tracks. I don't think any racers were part of that. And most of the DLC, granted, or if not all of it, has been re-releases of old tracks or tracks used in World Tour.
Oh, right, because they basically redid them for modern, right?
Yeah, but there might have been some new tracks. I'm not entirely sure though.
Well, I think they even went back and grabbed some Mario Kart SNES tracks for that too.
That
right?
was in base Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they up-resed Rainbow Road from SNES. They up-resed I think there was one other. There's two others that they did from SNES at least. One of the basic ones, I don't remember what it's called.
The Mario Circuit or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I haven't played. I haven't played Deluxe since 2019, probably 2020, maybe.
Yeah,
not a game I've gone back to.
I haven't played it in a few weeks or a few months.
A few weeks. You're I played it last week, motherfucker.
No, I haven't played it in a few months, but also at the same time, even if I did play it last week, I wouldn't be able to tell you what's on there. If I had played it, it would have been trying to get Gold Mario, which you only need to do the main tracks to get Gold Mario, and I don't really touch a lot of the DLC tracks unless I'm playing online.
I mean, that is also totally reasonable. Anyway, enough Mario Kart things. Rich, what is on the agenda?
On the agenda, we all should have watched 300, right? Yeah. I watched it today, and then I was like, wait, did I need to watch it today? But we all should have watched 300. Then me and Cobb and friends had a board game night. We played Mario Labyrinth, a game called Witchy Cakes, and we need to spend some time on talking about a game called HIFI that we got a review copy for. I played this new game that came out a few weeks ago called R.E.P.O, and Cobb, you played or you watched the movie Boondock Saints.
Yes.
A movie I've only seen once, maybe.
You don't even know if you've seen it once?
No, I've seen it once. I recall not really caring for it.
You know what? That's right.
So,
you would not care for a fantastic film.
I don't think I really paid attention to it. So then maybe as it was on, and I just didn't. It might have I might have come down while it was when Vogel was living at our house.
Oh yeah, no, he would have been insufferable.
Yeah, it was just I don't know. I barely watched it.
That's what that is a situation where that is totally valid. I'm going to pick the 90s and I'm going to make you watch it for the next one.
You just watched it. You'd really want to watch it again?
I mean, I don't have to watch it again. I just watched it.
You have to watch it again.
I don't think
Them's the rules. Them's the rules.
Also, it's a very good movie. I will watch it again.
But anyway, 300, guys.
Yeah.
King Leonidas. What'd you think?
I mean, I like that movie. I feel... So, one thing I noticed, back in 2007... that movie looked stylistically looked incredible.
Mm-hmm.
2025, style still actually looks really cool. I like that sort of not grayscale, but still kind of muted color palette that they have going on with it, especially with the backgrounds being very gray and desolate.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, a lot of the CG did not quite hold up over the years, especially some of the obvious green screen stuff.
I didn't think it aged too terribly.
So there is the scene when Leonidas first has the face to face with Xerxes,
mm-hmm.
Where they're doing the camera perspective and all to make Xerxes seem larger than life, because he was supposed to be 8 feet tall or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
But watching it, they're obviously on a green screen in that scene. And a lot of the perspective just made it look very weird, as opposed to something like Harry Potter with Hagrid or Lord of the Rings with the Hobbits and all. I feel those held up in that aspect a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one scene in the movie, so it's not they were doing it through large swaths of it. Normally Xerxes was kind of either shown alone or shown with slaves kneeling. So it's a little bit easier to do that forced perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, just some stuff like that, and some of the obvious CG when it was severed heads and all. I'm yeah, no, this is definitely 2007. Still a cool looking movie.
It was an early time for a lot of the CG that they used, and it was state of the art at that time. But the things that got me more were not really that scene. But because this is really hard to do in CG properly, when especially since half the cast is naked, stabbing people through and through. Like, that always looks bad coming through the other side of their chest when it's face on, or like when Leonidas had near the end when he had all the arrows inside him and stuff.
Oh
like,
yeah.
It looked rough, but like even now, it's still hard to do something like that. Like the through and through more so than having stuff sticking out of somebody's body. It's still pretty hard to do stuff like that. So like it's just some things are always just gonna look pretty rough, especially when you have half naked men running around doing it. Because having stuff going through skin is hard it's easier to have it going through cloth and then you can cover it up and stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to show what the wound looks like. You just have to kind of show like torn fabric.
Yeah.
I still think like stylistically the movie looks fantastic. It's just like some of the CG and stuff just didn't age especially well.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're probably not supposed to pay attention to that too much. And I'm sure back in 2007, like I remember that like everything in this movie was like top notch at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean after you've seen a movie 300 times, you're gonna start to pick apart some of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean I remember at least seeing this movie in the theaters like 2 or 3 times just because different groups of people wanted to see it at like different times, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll go again.
Mm-hmm. I almost didn't watch it because I've watched it so many times while it was on cable and shit like that. Like that is one reason why I do not want cable TV, is because that's what I'm going to end up doing, is just watching that instead of doing anything else. Like I'll scroll through the channels, find a movie that's on and just watch it and stuff instead of having my phone where I could just pick the movie. I don't want to go through that process of having to pick the movie. I just want it to be on. So like, yeah, I almost didn't watch it at one point. So I was like, well, yeah, I've seen this movie enough times that I know 90% of it. But like, even knowing 90%, like there were some things I kind of forgot and things like that.
Yeah, like I watched it while I was working, so there were definitely a few times where I had sort of like lost track of it. But because I've seen it enough times, it was like, okay, no, I know exactly what's still going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went into the cast because the Persian emissary at the very beginning of the game is played by Peter Mensah, and I wanted to know who that was because, like, he kind of gives me Lance Reddick, and I just like, was it Lance Reddick?
No, I did the same thing. I looked him up after the This Is Sparta scene. I'm like, that dude seems so familiar.
Yeah, I was like, is that Lance? Like, I thought maybe Lance Reddick, but no. Like, they look very similar to each other. But no, it wasn't Lance Reddick.
On his like IMDb, there were like some pictures of him like where he looked even more like Reddick. Like he looked like Reddick, like circa like Fringe, like 2008.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, man, that's uncanny.
And I got into the rabbit hole, and I still haven't been able to figure out who this person was. But there is an actress, Manny Cortez Tuazon, who plays transsexual number 1. And I was just like, who is this character? Probably somebody in the harem when the disfigured dude is going and speaking to Xerxes.
Yeah.
But, like, I couldn't figure out who she was. And I was just so confused because it's like, I don't remember somebody like this being in this movie. And even watching the movie, although, yeah, the movie's, 20 years old at this point, so she's 20 years older. I don't know who she was. I couldn't find her in the movie, so I was just so confused. But like, I bring it up because like when you go through the cast listing, she's number 11 of like she's in top 11. And like that's
on like IMDb
on Google. If you just Google the cast, it goes Gerard Butler, Lena Headey, and then Rodrigo Santoro for Xerxes, and then it goes like Michael Fassbender, David it goes a bunch of like the main cast characters, and then it goes even Vincent Reagan as Captain, Andrew Tierman as Ephialtes, and then Manny Cortez Tuazon as transsexual number 1, and I'm just like, who is this character? I'm just curious.
That
don't
name
remember
sounds familiar too, like the actor name.
She's I mean, she's an actress. Like this isn't her only film.
No, it looks like the only other thing she's been in is Urban Myth Chillers.
Oh, I guess this is her only film. I guess when you play transsexual number one, it's really hard to get other positions or jobs. I don't know. It was just a weird it was a weird, seeing an unnamed character so high up on the cast list.
Yeah, I mean, Google's weird with that stuff too.
Yeah,
but yeah, that movie had a lot of like odd parts in it too, like with all of like the different people in like Xerxes' army. Like I had forgotten how they kind of like blurred the line between like fantasy and just historical fiction, where like kind of like mid-ish way there's the scene where like they're showing like how the Spartans are just fucking wrecking his whole army like at every opportunity. And they flash to him like Xerxes furious, and like this big like Resident Evil looking fucking dude with like blades for arms, beheading like his captains. I'm like, okay, that is like, I can see how like I can see the rationalization of that being a thing that could happen, because like you can see like where like his like the blade things were sewn onto his arms. But at the same time, like that was not the shape or size of a actual human being.
I mean, this is based off of a comic, which obviously took liberties. Even though the story is a real story, it's based off of a comic that's based off of this story. So it took liberties to be a little bit more exciting and enticing and interesting.
Is this actually like a historical story, or is it?
I was looking at this is the Battle of Theseus.
Thermopylae.
There you go. Yeah, you can actually go to that region and take a daytime tour of like the whole area that the Battle of Thermopylae like took place in. Like, and there's statues and stuff. I was looking into it after the movie, so I was like, I wouldn't mind going and checking this out. I love me some Greek mythology and Greek history and stuff like that. This isn't quite mythology at this point. This is legit history. But it's on that line of mythology, unfortunately. Even though it's a real battle, it is on that line of mythology because it's so historic of 300 versus thousands.
It also wasn't 300. There were more. It was 300 Spartans, and then there were other soldiers from other Greek armies there. It's just
I'm also sure in like Greek history, there is probably a lot of thrown in about like Poseidon is what caused that storm that sunk a bunch of their ships to help them and so I'm sure actual mythology gets woven into the actual historical account.
Yeah, and to be fair, it was so Leonidas had about 7,000 troops. Xerxes had somewhere between 120 and 300,000. So like still insane numbers. And like again, like the Greeks lost 4,000 out of 7,000, but like those 7,000 took out approximately 20,000 people from Xerxes' army. Like that's a lot of fucking casualties. But so the reason I was asking initially is I wasn't sure if this was like the Odyssey sort of thing or the Iliad, where it's viewed by us as like a historical like thing, but really it's just a tale told by somebody from that time.
Yeah, this is an actual historical event that mythology has roots in it, or has taken roots from, I guess.
I'm just curious. Okay, so this was around 480 BC, and the Great Pyramids were 2600 BC. Just to give some idea of time. Like, that's insane. Time is weird, guys, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about that, it's almost midway point between now and when that happened. It's like almost equal time between then and now, and the pyramids being built and then.
Yeah, like I saw something the other day. Cleopatra existed closer to the iPhone debuting than to the the building of the pyramids. That's what I mean. Like, time is fucking weird.
All right.
And like,
I mean, it's the, like, I don't know if you guys ever watched Cosmos, but like recorded history on the time clock of the universe is only about 1.5 minutes long.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen that before too, where like if you were to like stretch the entirety of like the Milky Way galaxy like onto like fit it onto a clock, human beings as like we are now don't appear until like the last 30 seconds of the hour or something like that. Yeah, like it's something weird like that.
Yeah,
which it's tracks because like you also have like 70 million years ago is when like a certain type of dinosaur was around, but then there's actually like 50 million years between like the T-Rex and the Stegosaurus or something like that, or 25 million years. Like yeah, time is wild and it just keeps going.
Yeah,
but 300 was cool. It was fun to watch that again because it has probably been 15 years or so since I've seen it, maybe longer.
It had been a while since I watched it, so it was like good to have the refresher on it. And while watching it, I was like, man, I now kind of want to watch Sin City because I've never actually watched Sin City. Like I've seen it, but I've not paid attention to it because I was just like, that was another movie where like halfway through I was just like, I don't care, and kind of just stopped caring and not paying attention to it or something. I don't think I understood anything that was going on in that movie.
Yeah, so Sin City is also one of those ones where you have to be careful depending on where it's available. Netflix had it for a while, and they did not show it in order. Like, the chapters were broken up in a weird way, and, like, it didn't actually come out in, like, the right order.
Weird.
Yeah. Because, like, the movie is, like basically vignettes, but they all tie together, and there's, like Easter eggs from each of them until you get to the end.
Yeah.
And I will say, this was one of the movies I was actually going to put on the list that I made for Drew, but it's not available anywhere other than like renting it for $5.
Yeah.
Worth renting. Like, it's a really cool fucking movie. Another one from that era that like it is just stylized in some of like the best ways. And Elijah Wood, this is like 2 years post Lord of the Rings. Elijah Wood going from Frodo to fucking like serial killer like monster dude is fantastic. But yeah. Anything else about 300 either of you guys got?
No.
Not really. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Fun movie. Well, I guess with that then, Drew, I gave you like 5 movies earlier because you couldn't narrow anything down. Did you want to go with one of those?
Yeah. What did I say?
So earlier you alluded to The Prestige.
Oh, yeah.
What a great movie.
Although, so Sin City is on Tubi. I
didn't know what Tubi was.
It's just one of it's a free.
It's a free thing. You just make an account and you can watch shit on it.
Okay.
But like, I don't know the quality. I don't know if there's going to be commercials.
It will have
absolutely commercials.
Like I was annoyed that I had a 3-minute fucking ad in the middle of watching 300, right as the first main battle was about to end.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that was
real annoying.
It cut right before they started to push the Persians off the cliff. And I was like, this is stupid. Why? So like, and it's going to be bad ads. So if that's what you want, we could do that. But Prestige is a great movie. Such a great movie.
I'm good with either one because they are both actually really good movies. And I haven't seen either of them in a very, very long time. Like, I've only seen The Prestige once, and it was around when it came out. And I want to say I've seen like Sin City like 2 or 3 times, but not since maybe 2010.
Prestige was one of those movies that every time I saw it on, I watched it. I loved it. But I'm a sucker for magic, so.
Is The Prestige definitely on Hulu?
It says subscribed.
Okay.
I'm starting to watch it now as I clicked it.
Yeah, I brought it up earlier, like as I was looking at them. I was actually bringing up the sites just to make sure. Because there were a couple times where like we thought a thing was on it, and then it turned out it was like part of a separate subscription or had been taken down or something stupid.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't seen The Prestige, so we'll do The Prestige. And also because I don't know how shitty the ads will wind up being on Tubi for Sin City. But Richie, if you ever want to watch it, I'm pretty sure I have Sin City on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good movie.
I'd have to go through my Blu-rays. I probably might even have it too, but I don't think I do. I'd have to go through all my videos and movies and stuff. A bunch of them are still at my parents because when I thought about selling the house again, I had moved a bunch of stuff back there.
Like, I almost watched 300 on Blu-ray because I know I have that.
You should have. Then you wouldn't have had to sit through 3 minutes of ads halfway through.
I should have, but then I would have had to dig it out, and I didn't really feel like moving things to get into the cabinet where all my Blu-rays are.
You could have watched it with commentary, man.
I could have, but also then would have had to watch it on my smaller TV.
I also could have watched it
move
off
my
the Blu-ray.
PS4.
Yeah, I also just realized I have it on Blu-ray. I apparently don't have Sin City though,
Huh.
which I thought I might have when I just like when you just mentioned on Blu-ray. I'm like, oh, I probably have that on Blu-ray. Apparently not. Not sure how that happened. Anyway, moving along. Richard,
Yeah.
well, in 2 weeks we'll watch The Prestige, so there's that.
Yeah.
And then Rich, there were a bunch of board games played.
Yeah, we played a bunch of board games this weekend. Let's talk about Labyrinth and Witchy Cakes first. And then we'll move to HIFI, since we should probably spend a little bit more time on that one.
Nah, fuck it. We're spending 20 minutes on Labyrinth and 2 minutes on the rest.
But we played Super Mario Labyrinth, which, if you've never played Labyrinth, it pretty much works the same way. You have up to 4 players. They start in 4 corners of a map. The map has all randomly placed tiles, with the exception of, I think, 12 of them. Yeah, like 4 rows of 4. So I think it's like 12 tiles are always placed in the same orientation, but the rest of them are randomly placed, and there's one additional tile that will fit that can fit on the map, and on your turn you have to place that new tile somewhere along the board that can move the tiles, because the labyrinth is ever moving, it's always changing. You have to place your tiles and move it, and your goal is to get to a certain spot. So you each get a bunch of cards, and in Mario you have to get to certain Mario characters. And once you reach that Mario character, you flip the card, say you have it, and then you get to look at the next card. You can't look at all your cards. You can only look one at a time. So you can't plan out your movements. You can only do one character at a time until you get there, because then it would be a little... I mean, it really wouldn't affect it if you still had to go from top to bottom, because every turn changes. And yeah, it's I've played Labyrinth before, the basic version. It's a fun game. It's a nice, quick, easy game.
Yeah, Drew, have you ever played it or seen it?
I have not.
So it actually it reminds me a little bit of Suro, just like with a little more like gaminess to it, because you are purposely trying to move like a piece around the board. It's not just like playing the tile to then slide your piece along the tile. You're like, but you are like, you're getting a piece each turn to have to slide into the board to make a new path for you to travel to get to the spot you want to be in.
Yeah. And you can travel as far along the path as you want. So if you make a path that can go all the way around the game board, you can travel that far, as long as like you can do that. Or you can travel as short along the path as you want. So the whole point is like maybe seeing the room connector that you got, and maybe trying to like set up yourself up to move to the character you're trying to move to. But then it just also got really, really painful at some points, because we pretty much had just an easy way around most of the map, and every time we would move a position, it would just literally be moved back the next person, because it was like, okay, well, I want to keep going this way. And so it got a little easy.
There was a portion of the game where you kind of like screwed yourself, and you were just kind of like stuck going back and forth for a few minutes.
Oh, it's the beginning of the fucking game. Like, the beginning of the game, I had a path, and then everyone moved things, and I didn't have a path. So I figured out one, and I moved myself backwards the way I came. And then we moved the path again, and you had to go back the other way. I didn't get my first card until somebody else had already had like 2, I think. Like, I had a lot of trouble getting to my cards. They were well spread out. And like some of the 12 tiles, or I think all 12 of the tiles with the exception of the starting points, have character faces on them. And then the moving tiles also have character faces on them, which is what makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. It was fun too. Like you said at the beginning, it was pretty quick to set up. It was quick to play. I'm sure like the game could have definitely gone on longer. Like Matt actually got very lucky with his cards. Like I feel like all of his cards were actually in a pretty like good grouping on the board, that he never had to travel too far. Yeah, and was able to get back to his starting zone like right away.
Yeah, and that's what also like I was saying, like we had one instance where half the map was attached to itself, and like you could get pretty much to every tile from any tile on like 2/3 of the map, and every time we would move it, like Matt would just move it back, or Erica would move it back, and it'd just be like, we need to mess this up. We need to make it harder for everybody. But making it harder for everybody also means you're making it harder for yourself. So Yeah.
Yeah. I had fun with it though. Would play again, basically.
Yeah, I like the Labyrinth games. Like you said, like I said, it's quick, it's easy, it's fun. I liked it.
Yeah. And then we also did Witchy Cakes, which is it's a cake building game that for whatever reason you have to pick a coven of witches that has no actual outcome on the game whatsoever. You just pick the card with the 3 witches that you think look the coolest. And then you're building cakes, and there are, what was it, 3 colors and 3 patterns? Or 4 colors and 4 patterns.
I don't remember. I know there was 3 patterns. There was 3 patterns, 3 colors, plus blacks and rainbows, which count for everything. Like match with everything. So like they're separate. So then I don't include them as either or.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a matter of you kind of like other matched games. You can match like the same patterns on each other or the colors. So you can have like a yellow lattice work and a red lattice work, or you can have a yellow lattice work with a yellow like stripe or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's how you build your cake up. And the idea is you want to have the tallest cake at the end of the game. But as you're playing, you're also like trying to take down your opponents by using your cake cards to actually knock theirs down. Based on every cake card had like a line of 3 colors on it. And if you could match those lines horizontally with your opponent's cake colors, you got to take out those 3 cards from their cake. So there was a little while there where Richie and I just kept knocking each other's cake down because he was being aggressive.
Look, you were aggressive first, weren't you?
No, you started it.
I did, but I took away 1 of yours, maybe 2.
And that was a declaration of war. So
and you then took away 3. So then I took away another 1 or 2. And then you just took away another. So I just it was a back and forth between me and you.
That like, you started.
I did 1 and you did 3. Like, and then right next to you, your wife is building the tallest cake in the world, and you're not even bothering with her.
Well, at that point, she had the block card still. So anything I did, she would have just been able to block it.
But then other people could have done stuff afterwards.
Yeah, but why would I waste my card? Why didn't you waste your card?
Because I had no cards that combined to attack hers. The only cards I had to combine were to attack you, and that's why I kept doing it.
But yeah, like there are some more like mechanics to the game. So the idea is you want to be able to keep drawing cards, but they limit the way you can draw. If you run out of just your cake cards, but you still have your secret ingredient card, you're limited to only drawing 1 card at the like beginning of your next turn, basically.
And that's your turn too, is drawing that 1 card. So you're gonna want to try to find a way to use your secret ingredient as early as possible, or not as early as possible, but as close to having 0 cards in your hand as possible, so that when you use that card, you can then draw 5 more plus another secret ingredient.
Yeah, and the secret ingredients are kind of like your like special effect cards, like. There were ones that let you block somebody trying to knock your cake down. There were ones that you could play on an opponent that made them reshuffle the tiers of their cake, which then could potentially make it so you can knock it down easier. And then, like Richie said at the beginning, there's also a black card and a rainbow card. And the rainbow card you can play as a tier to your cake, or as like an attack card that can take out any 3 cards of your opponent's cake. It also sets you up where like that card becomes wild for your opponents to knock it down too.
Yeah.
And then the black card is it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because it generally has some sort of like extra effect on it that isn't always good. But in turn, it also sets you up where that tier of your cake can't be knocked down anymore. So depending on like what your pattern looks like, if you have a couple black cards in there, it becomes very hard to actually knock a section of your cake down like consistently, because the black card doesn't match to any of the other cake cards, so there's no way to actually knock it down. Which I think that actually helped Erica a little bit, because she had like 2 or 3 of them, and it did become harder to actually like take out a section of her cake because of that.
Yeah, I'm still like, I don't know, questioning a little bit of the rules, because the black card gets added to your cake, so you're supposed to throw that to be a detriment towards another person, but it also, you do that and it adds points to their cake, which to me seems a little like lackluster. I would feel like I would understand having it be part of their cake, but maybe not be worth points.
Well, I mean, you did have the one that was like negative points.
It was -1.
Yeah,
but
just
it
saying.
adds 1.
Well, no, I think that card doesn't add 1 because it's -1.
I mean, I think we counted it as 1.
No,
it takes
we
away 1,
purposely
so it's a 0.
No, we took out like a separate card for that count. Like we didn't count that one and then removed another card. So if anything, we actually like shorthanded Erica, even though she won anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was like I thought that was because it says I looked up I'm on a web page and it says counts as -1 cards when determining the tallest cake. So I guess it should be a -1, but like that's only one. The rest of them, like I can't remember the rest of the dark cakes, but it was like I don't know. It seemed it seemed less of a hindrance at all. Like you're supposed to use it against other people, but it really didn't. I mean, I guess strategically you use it on yourself so that
you don't
lose
have to
one,
use it on other people.
I don't know. It seemed I don't know. It was a little weird. I was a little like I thought that the black cards counting for points was weird, and I also like my only other issue was so for instance the stripes aren't always just stripes. They are stripes, but it's like one of them was like the stripes were half of them were tombstones and the other half was just the background of the graveyard.
Oh,
so,
yeah,
like,
some of the graphics on them made it a little like weird to.
Yeah, some of the designs just weren't like it wasn't entirely clear to me, at least at the beginning, like is this stripes or is this something else? Like I don't like when I was first being explained to me, like you can do stripes on stripes or colors on colors, I was like, I don't have stripes though. Like I was confused. I didn't see that as stripes.
Well, that's just because you're stripe blind.
No, it's just it was to me it was a little unclear as to like it being a design because I also like most of my hand were like it was that and it was rainbows. It was what I had, so like I didn't really see designs on most of my cards on the first hand because it was the tombstones and then it was the rainbows and I was just confused. And luckily, I just played my rainbows next to my tombstones and was like, all right, this works. This is fine.
Yeah, it was another one of those games where it was fairly easy to set up and play. Didn't take too long, and like was still like a fun game.
Yeah.
And then we all had a terrible time with this HIFI game.
But we didn't. I think we all had a good time.
It was actually legitimately fun. It was one of those games where setting it up, I'm like, this seems overly complicated. Like it's going to just be us trying to figure out how to play the whole time and not having fun. And then it ended up actually not being all that confusing. It's just got so many pieces to it that it seems
it was also everyone's first time playing it.
Yeah.
So it was going to take a little bit longer, but it only took us, what day was that?
It was about an hour. It was Saturday.
An hour and a half. It only took us an hour and a half to play it, which was like...
Oh, right, because you recorded it.
Yeah, I recorded it. So, Drew, have you ever played Ticket to Ride?
No, that's one I've wanted to play, but just never had the chance.
It's a great game. So, for any listeners, HIFI, you can liken it a little bit to Ticket to Ride. So, what you're doing in HIFI is you're record producers, and you're building a record for the band called the Meeples that have returned, that are doing a comeback tour. And so you get cards to play to build the audio track. You can add equalization knobs to like better your score. It's a score-based game. It's victory points. Your goal is to get the most victory points. And based on the total number of players determines the total number of rounds you take. Each round, your first action is to take your record action, which the game box has a little like record player on it. You can, if you're first in the round, you can scratch it back once, or you can move it up to twice forward, once or twice. It's your choice, and that determines like your initial actions you can take starting that round. You don't have to take both. You don't have to take either. But like you have to take you have to move it either way. Some of them are just like drawing a card and then drawing drawing a specific colored card and then drawing a random card to drawing objective cards to placing equalization knobs and things like that. Just different things you can do on the playboard. It's basically letting you do it for free, so that then, if you have the points on your turn, you can spend points to do other stuff. If you would have gotten, you can spend points to add the equalization knob, or you can spend points to get more objective cards. One of the options is to also get currency, up to your 5 production currency that you can use. And yeah, it's just going through and trying to match with your cards the time signature, the audio signature, or having double or having back-to-back tracks of the same instrument next to each other to give you bonuses, to get more points, to get more victory points, to get more like bonus actions to take and things like that, to just try to increase your score more and more for victory points. Like I ended the game at the game kind of technically maxes out at 100 points, and I ended the game at 99.
Nice.
It only maxes out at 100 points because the score tracker is it caps out at 50, and then you flip your token and it shows 50 on that side, and then it goes up again to 50 again.
So I did not realize that the backside of the token actually had a 50 on it, because I couldn't see from where I was. I thought you just had to like. I thought you were just doing the math because you knew at a certain point we had all there's circled the board.
It flips. One of the cool features, this is something I've never seen in any sort of board game. The turn order changes every turn. To be whoever's in last goes first, and whoever's in first goes last. And if there's a tie, you determine who within the tie gets to go.
Yeah, and the game also like it lends itself to thinking ahead, based on like the equalization knobs and stuff like that. Because doing certain things with those, like the more of those you can get into play early on, the more points you get when it's not your turn. So it's like if you get like equalization knobs on all 4 tracks, especially if you get more than one, you're potentially getting at least 1 point or more every time one of your opponents plays a card.
So I had knobs on, was it bass vocals and bass guitar and drums, or bass guitar and vocal? I think it was bass guitar and drums. I had bass guitar and drums. I had 2 knobs on each, so I was getting 2 points every time anybody, including myself, played a bass guitar or a drum track. And then other ways to get points is next to where you're placing your audio tracks, there's actually like it'll tell you like it's worth X amount of points if placed here. And so like one of the tracks could be worth 5 points. So whoever plays that track there gets 5 points. And that continues to be worth 5 until somebody like claims one of their play cards on that, which will like those play cards you can match up a certain number of like it'll give you four audio tracks. And so say it says it wants vocals, drum, bass. And say you have vocal drums, you could play that card and get some points. If you have vocals, you can play that card. Or if you have vocal, drums, you can play that and get more points. Or if you have all 4, you can play that and get all the points. You then, if you're playing that on that section of that track, you place one of your tokens covering how many points that was originally worth. And then that changes how much the points of that track is now, which is like really cool. So it changes up like everyone's playstyle. I think we had one track that never got anything played on it because it starts only at 2 points.
So until the end, at the very end of the game, that one got played because that track ended up fucking me because my one of my like mastering cards or whatever they were considered was if there are no bass tracks on tracks, and it was like if one track didn't have them, you got X amount of points, but if 2 or 3 didn't have them, you got like more. And it got to the point where that track didn't have one until the last round.
And so like that's it gives you like some of the master cards you can have. Like for me, it was the 3 I had have 2 knobs on drums, 2 knobs on bass, and then I had another one that was 2 knobs on bass and 2 knobs on guitar, and then my last one was 2 knobs on guitar and 2 knobs on drums. So I ended up putting that all together, and one of the cards I pulled after I'd already set up the other 2. So I was just like, this is just a no-brainer. you can potentially lose your equalization knobs on the tracks, because once they max out at 4. But if somebody plays over one of the ones that has 4, if I were to play an equalization knob on drums and it already has 4, it kicks out the first one that was placed and moves everything down 1. So that could have messed me up if somebody had moved things around. It would have messed up, and I wouldn't have gotten 30 points at the end of the game from just having those 4 knobs down, or those 6 knobs down. And there's other objectives, like Cobb said, where it's if you lose if they're the number of tracks that don't have an artist on it, or if say Singer was the least used across all tracks, and other objectives like that. Whereas the play cards are generally just if you have a sequence, but they're not worth as much. And late game, they're not really worth getting. It's mostly early game that you want to try to go for those. But it seemed like those weren't really worth looking at unless you got the record action to take 2 from each and to look at 2 from each pile and take 1 from those 2 each that you looked at. So like the play cards weren't really, like, I had zero interest in them. And like I think even Erica had a bunch, and she was like, "Yeah, I have zero interest in," which is not a detriment, which is crazy. Usually games like this, where it has like objective cards like that, if you don't complete the objective, you lose that number of points. But this game does not do that. So there's no negative to drawing cards, except the cost of currency points to actually draw the cards. So like that's the only cost, and it makes it like better and more family friendly and just like new player friendly to just be like, all right, just keep going, because that's what I did the last couple of rounds. It's just like, I'm just drawing more of these, just checking to see what I can get.
Yeah, it's any chance that you have like a good setup already, right? Yeah, because like at one point I want to say it was a play card, and I had like a thing I was going to do, but every time it was my turn, I was too far away from the spot I needed on the record. Like I needed the swap spot, and by the time I was finally in a position to like spin to that, the track that I needed to do it on had been filled up. So like I had a play card that I never got to play because I couldn't make it happen.
Therein lies the issue. Like since we were all still new and learning, like we didn't realize at first, like the play cards that you get when you play them, you can only play them on a track that you have played on, which we didn't realize when you use the swap action, that you can play a play card off of that action as well. So, but I think you can only do 1 per track, I guess, per turn.
You can only do 1 play card per turn.
Yeah.
Because technically, well, I guess you could do up to 2, because it would be, depending on how you spun the wheel, if you did a swap on 1 track, played it right after, and then played 1 after playing like your card for the round, you could do as many as 2. But generally, you only get 1 because it's 1 off of the card you play.
Yeah, which, like, again, that to me made the play cards just even less valuable.
Well, they also had the effect of closing off the points on a track or increasing them.
Yeah. Which, like, all right, that would be good but like, you have to spend currency to get them, and then you have to play something on that board to play them. It didn't really seem very useful to me, and I won with 99 or 100 points. Like, I had a good winning strategy. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm just saying, like, those things I didn't even care about, and it's not like it was a detriment to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, like I still have the gripe that like not knowing how to play and looking through that instruction booklet, it wasn't very 100% clear on how to play and what to do and what things meant. Like you had to flip around a few times and try to figure it out. And the people at PAX what is the vendor, not the vendor, the exhibitors at PAX who I saw this game at, and the box itself both boast about this app called Diced, which I talked about a while back. That like it will teach you how to set up the game, and it'll run you through a tutorial of how to play the game. but it won't tell you what anything does. It just says, we'll get to that later. And like, I even at one point when I was trying it with my friends, I was like, all right, well, let's see what it says when I click to do this. It still didn't really explain what it does. So like, it wasn't the easiest to, at least for me, to grip and to understand. And even throughout the playtime, throughout playing it, we had a couple of rule checks and we had missed a few things, and that might have messed you up, Cobb, at times as well, because you were like, well, I could do this, but I can't. And then Matt double checked. He's like, actually, you could have.
You know what? I don't think that really messed me up at all. Like, I don't think I would have gotten like any more like real points or anything out of it.
Yeah. But like they tried to they did their best to turn the booklet into a magazine, like a music magazine or something like that. I was gonna say People's Magazine, but People doesn't really do music and art, does it? I don't know. But yeah, it was a fun game. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun playing it. I definitely will play it again. I have plans to play it, bring it to my friend's house with my other game night when we play it. But it's just like, that was my biggest gripe, was like, the rules just aren't, the rule book isn't that clear to me. But I'm admittedly very bad at comprehending board game rules when it comes to having to read it.
Dude,
I have to play it.
You don't have to short sell yourself. You're very bad at comprehension. We get it.
I mean, not kind of, maybe, but it's I need to actively play it and do it at the same time. Like what game was it? There was a game that I played a while back with another friend, and it was a one-on-one game, and I sat there and I was like, all right, I think I understand. Let's just run through the tutorial that the booklet is telling us to go through and explaining everything, and I'll understand it more. And the more we played, the more I got it. It was really fun. It was a Goshu X game that I got from Hatchet 2 years ago. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's very interesting. If you like Ticket to Ride, you'll probably like this. But also, Ticket to Ride is such a good game, especially for newbie board gamers and just friendly gamers in general, that like it's hard to step away from that and try something different, because that is such a good game. But it goes along with it, and it's themed very cool. If you like music and the music theme and stuff like that, you'll like this.
Nice, good times. Good times had by at least a few of us.
Yeah, I think all four of us liked it.
Yeah, even Erica, who like isn't always like super into like kind of like rules heavy games like that where there's a lot of moving pieces, she's like, actually, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's only rules heavy when you first start to hear it, and then once you like a lot of board games, it sounds like a lot, but once you start to get it, it clicks.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah,
because it is one of those ones that looks way more like overwhelming to start.
Yeah,
and like ends up just not being.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't have half as many pieces, or even a third as many pieces as friggin' The Lost Ruins of Arnak.
No, I mean that game killed at least 17 trees for one box.
Oh yeah,
and that is a low estimate.
Yeah, it was a fun game though. I really liked it. I would love to.
Yeah, it was cool.
But yeah, that was HIFI. It was who made the game HIFI? I have to make sure to say board game, because otherwise my phone automatically goes to Hi-Fi Rush. Publisher is Mandela? No. Was it Grok? I don't know. If you see a board game that looks like a record, that's Hi-Fi. Go check it out.
Publisher is Mandela. Oh, you know what? It looks like it's one of those games where it's not published by like a company. It's published by like several places. Mm-hmm. Grok Games, Smirk and Dagger Games, and Mandela Jogos, which might just be a person.
That's what I remember seeing was Smirk and Dagger for it.
Yeah, it's I guess it's a Brazilian game, maybe.
I think Smirk and Dagger was the booth that I got it from as well.
Okay, yeah, but still, cool game. Definitely had fun playing it.
Yeah.
Now, Rich, what is R.E.P.O, or is it R.E.P.O? Is it R.E.P.O?
I'm pronouncing it R.E.P.O, but it's R.E.P.O, so it's like supposed to be an acronym for something. But
what's an acronym for?
I don't know. The game doesn't explain it.
What the fuck?
Like I even looked it up on Steam, and it doesn't say what R.E.P.O is. But it's one of these like indie games that have been coming out a lot where it's multiplayer. It's multiplayer specific, not multiplayer only. You can play it by yourself, but it's better with a group. And it's you go into a place, you have to take items and bring them back and make enough money, and then leave the place. But it's like horror centric, where it's like some creepy things will happen and some scary monsters are in it, and it's not the most beautiful game out there, but it's still like it's fun for what it looks like. And you play as these like little robot dudes that have to go in, grab items, put them in the cart, bring them back to an extraction zone, and you have to reach a certain threshold of money. Once you reach that threshold, the extraction zone will drop it and will take the money. And if it's, say it's your first level of the run, you're done. You can leave. But say level 2 through like level 3 and 4, you have to find 2 extraction points. So that means you have to actually make up your balance twice. So if you need to get $8,000 worth of stuff, you need a total of $16,000 by the end of for the second extraction. Because once it takes the money in the first extraction, it just drops a big bag of money into your cart that you have to bring to the second. And the reason that's important is because if you were to lift that bag of money out and place it on the ground, you may lose some money by just like the bag ripping and stuff like that. All of the items that you can get in the game can be damaged, broken, and destroyed. So you have to be careful with it. You have to like move it properly, gently put it down on, like if you just drop it, it will shatter. So you have to gently put it down on the ground so that it doesn't break. While also hiding from the different monsters and creatures and things like that that were in it. One of the creatures that we found was we're calling him Elmer Fudd because he kind of looks like Elmer Fudd, but he's blind, but he's walking around with a giant elephant gun. And if he hears you, he will shoot towards you, and his bullet has like kind of a big range of explosion and area of effect. And so you kind of just gotta duck, get down, and be quiet. And by quiet, I mean don't even talk, because the game uses voice chat. And if you talk in game, he will hear you. So it's
actually kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that use that proximity chat and that kind of voice chat nowadays that I really love that people are doing, because it makes the game a lot more immersive. So like there's another game I've played, I talked about it, called Murky Divers, which is the same thing. Like I can't hear my friends if I'm halfway across the map from them, but the closer I get, I can hear them yelling and screaming as monsters come towards me. There was one time I was playing that game, and there was a creature called a mimic that like looks like one of the normal players and will have their name above their head like a player would. But it's using just like generic phrases like, "Hi, I saw this," but it's like it kind of replicates their voice a little bit, but not quite. You can still hear the roboticness of it. And it caught me a few times, and I just started yelling at it. No robot and their name. Like, no, Robot Odin, I'm not doing this. And I ran away from them, or swam away from them. But R.E.P.O has, like, similar features. If you make noise, some of these creatures will come after you. If they see you, they'll come at you. A lot of the times you have to, like, you have to have one person guiding the creatures away while the other people are moving, like, your loot from one location to another, because even the monsters can attack the loot and damage the loot, even if they're in your cart. There's one monster that's just like a pair of legs with a laser eye on him, and he sees you, he makes a noise, and he just does a laser across the way. If you hear him and drop to the ground and duck, he won't hit you. Like, he doesn't aim up or down, he just aims in like a horizontal fashion. So he always hits like the same like upper range, so if you can duck, you won't get hit by him. But it's just like he attacks quick, so you have to have a good reaction to him. There's a bunch of other weird, creepy monsters that are just like, it's funny and goofy. And so like a friend of mine got it recently, and him and his boyfriend, or him and his husband, had a lot of fun playing it. And he was like, "You need to play this." And I was like, "Unfortunately, I don't have money for it." And he's like, "Well, it's only like $10, so here," and bought it for me. I'm like, God damn it, I guess I have to play it now. So I was like, thank you so much. And so I played it with them on Monday, and we only played for like 2 to 3 hours, and I got like 5 or 6 fucking clips from that game. it was just so fun and silly and ridiculous what was going on. It's like, it's just, I don't know, it's nice to see that like some technology that should be in a lot of multiplayer games, especially proximity chat, is finally being used in a good way. And like horror games like this, like they took Lethal Company, which is very similar. You go in, you grab items, you leave, you drop it off in your ship, and then you go sell them. They took Lethal Company and made it better by enhancing the physics capability, enhancing the horror aspect of like, oh, your items could break and be less valuable. Like, one of the items we found when playing was a full-on server tower that needs 2 or 3 people to help move it to the extraction point. But if you can do that, it's worth 20,000 gold. Boom, you're in the clear right there. If one of your characters or players dies while trying to collect loot, you can bring them back by bringing them to the extraction and having the money to like having how much you need to actually like have the extraction take out the loot, and they'll come back with 1 health. And at one point, I got revived, and then the money bag that the game gives you after you drop the loot drops and hits my head and kills me again.
Oh no.
Yeah, so then they had to find another extraction point to get me back to life. And yeah, there's, you can, as you play, it's kind of a roguelite where like there's certain, like, it's random what maps you get into, but like they're all kind of procedurally generated each time you play them. And what the loot is are all based on the maps you go into. So one of them is a castle that you can find a flying like Harry Potter broom, which is in a box. And if you happen to open the box and take it out, the broom just flies and is incredibly light. But if you let it go, it just goes up into the air and you can't get it back.
Nice.
There's upgrades you can buy that will make things lighter, that will make you stronger, that will give you more stamina and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just a fun, silly little game that like is fun with friends, fun with people to play with, and like I know a lot more people than I was expecting that have it. So like I really want to get like a big group of people to play this together, because I think it's up to 8 players. It might be 6 or 8. I'm not entirely sure. I know Steam used to say how many people can be in a game, but I can't find it. But like I know at least 6 people that have this game now that I'm just like, or 5 other people that I'm just like, yo, let's just get everyone to play it. It's early access, like a lot of these games are. So they're gonna keep updating it and adding more stuff. They just added things like on the 14th, so they keep adding. They're keeping up on it. But the game just came out on February 26th, so it's literally brand new.
Yeah, it's super new.
Yeah, and it's fun. If I'm there, I have a bunch of TikToks and clips and videos that are going to come out of me playing it, and I plan on maybe playing it again like this weekend or maybe even next Monday with them. We'll see. And just, it was a good time. Definitely check out R.E.P.O. It's on Steam. Probably not anywhere else. The only thing that everyone complains about that I kind of agree is like the icon or the image for the game itself is this creepy smiling emoji that like we kind of need to like get rid of, because that thing sucks. But everything else is great.
Now lean into the weirdness.
No, look up the emoji. It's I hate it. I
don't have to look it up. I like it just because it's creeping you out.
I think it's fine, but I also hate it. But also like there were a few other monsters that I did not like.
Oh yeah, this is fine. I see it.
No, it's not fine. It's so weird.
Nah, I like it. It's good.
It was a human face. Yeah, it was like a human head where its arms and legs were coming out of the head, so it was like a spider, but it was a human head spider. No, I hate that thing. I think there was like a porcelain doll that can get blades coming out of it. And then there's some items that if you pick up, like there's one of the items you can pick up and sell was a music box that when you pick it up, your character starts spinning, just spinning in a circle. Because it's nice. The music box opens and it starts playing the music and you just start spinning. So you have to like fight that and drop it into the cart. There's a doll that you can pick up that if you pick it up, it starts like shaking and it'll hurt you if it gets too close to you. So you have to keep scrolling your wheel away from yourself, but it'll also damage items if you're holding it and put it in the box, so you kind of have to drop it. This is the best. There's a love potion that, like, if you pick it up, your character, because they also use text to speech, so people who might not have a mic, they can type in and it'll talk, and it'll use text to speech to like, I picked up the love potion at one point. It was just like, every time I'm with so and so, I confess my love to them. Or somebody else picked it up and was like, I would love it if you all liked and subscribed. So, like, you say sweet things about your party members, or if you're alone, you say things like and subscribe and stuff like that. It's great. It's silly, and I'm excited to play it more.
Nice.
Yeah.
Glad you're enjoying it.
Thanks.
Anything else you want to say about it?
No, that's it. Cobb, tell us about
The Boondock Saints. Drew, I'm sure you've seen this before, right?
Oh, many times. I have. I think I still have the hoodie that they sold for a while.
Nice. So, Rich, do you know anything about the Boondock Saints?
Is Riley in it?
Riley?
Does the kid with the big afro in it?
Oh, the Boondocks.
Oh, the Boondocks. No.
I get it.
No, I know,
Totally
I know a bit about Boondock Saints. I know Willem Dafoe is a detective, and then it's the two brothers. They're Irish, and
he is an special agent from the FBI.
Okay.
Show agent Paul Smeckler some fucking respect.
He's a detective. And then it's the two brothers that are the main character, which one of them is fucking Daryl.
Yeah, Cornelius and Sean Patrick Flannery.
Yeah, and they're Irish, and they're going around. I don't know why, but they're just killing a bunch of people. They're like fighting a crime syndicate or something like that, I think.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the movie, they're at a bar. They're at like their neighborhood Irish bar having some drinks. The bar owner is like, they're shutting me down. It's the Russian mob is shutting them down, basically. And like 3 Russian mobsters show up and start like a fight, and the brothers and like the other guys in the bar win, and that includes actually tying one of the guys down on the bar, covering his ass in like some sort of alcohol and lighting it on fire. So the next morning, that guy and another one of the Russians show up at the brothers' like apartment to kill them. And through that whole thing, they end up killing these 2 guys instead. And they do the right thing. They actually end up, they go and turn themselves in. But because it's declared self-defense, like, they're released. But they do spend, like, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a whole night or just like a few hours, like, hanging out in the, I think it was actually overnight now that I'm thinking about it. They sleep the night in the police station, like in like a holding cell, because there's like a mob of like reporters outside and they don't want to deal with all that. So during their like, while they're sleeping in the holding cell, both of them have what I can only describe as like a spiritual awakening, as like water falls from the ceiling onto them. And they both wake up with this like, yeah, we're just going to go kill these fucking like bad people now. And so that's what they do. Like they go stock up on guns and rope, because rope is important. And then they find out that there's going to be like this big meeting of like Russian mafia people at a hotel, and they show up at the hotel and very fucking like dumb luck murder everyone in the hotel room. They literally like they're crawling through the air vents and they fall through the ceiling and get caught on their rope and are literally like dangling upside down and just like rotating in a circle, and they just start shooting. And it was such a surprise to all the mobsters that no one like pulled out a weapon, and they were able to like shoot everybody before cutting themselves down. That's also the first point in the movie where they do the like the execution style, where each of them stand like it's the famous like scene of the movie where they each stand with the gun pointed at the back of somebody's head and they say the prayer and then shoot them, and then they go around and they put pennies on everyone's eyes and cross their arms. And then that is most of the movie, but it's told in like a cool style where we see like the lead up to the thing happening. So like the bar fight, we see the bar fight about to start, but then it cuts away. We see them in a hotel, but then it cuts away, and it actually cuts to Willem Dafoe's character showing up at the crime scenes to like figure out what was going on. and he's one of those guys who can like decipher a crime scene. So and like he's Willem Dafoe. He's so over the top about it. It's great. But like he puts in like earbuds and starts his Discman up and starts like dancing around the scene and stuff like that, and then correctly identifies exactly what happens to all of the officers that are like with him. And none of them like this guy because he's the FBI agent that just showed up. But as he's describing what's going on, they then show us it happening with like the brothers. So we kind of get that like flashback, flash forward kind of storytelling, where we see the outcome of the carnage and then we see how it got that way. And that it kind of plays out like that through most of the movie. But up to a certain point, Dafoe doesn't realize that it's the two brothers that turned themselves in for killing the other two guys. And he kind of starts to lose it a little bit, not being able to figure out who is doing these killings. And at a certain point, he does figure it out, and like the brothers call him and basically tell him what they're doing. And there's this little like come to Jesus moment, literally in a church. And he decides that he's actually going to help them. So he finds out that they're actually being set up, and he dresses up as a hooker and like shows up at this mob house and starts seducing one of the mobsters. It's great. All the while, there's actually like another hitman that has been like released from prison specifically to kill the brothers. And you're just like, no one knows anything about him leading up to the end of the movie. So because you've never seen it, Rich, I'm not going to tell you who the guy is. But it's a real cool like moment when he shows up and he's just like covered in guns.
No, I've seen it. It's like his dad or something like that, right?
It's their dad. He was like an assassin in like the 70s, and the only reason he doesn't kill them is because they're actually saying the prayer to their friend who was just murdered. Like he walks into the room, guns drawn, ready to kill both of them. Hears them saying the prayer and like puts his guns away, and then like walks up and finishes the prayer with them. And then the movie ends like I think it's a 3-month time skip, and it's the brothers and their dad now going into the court where like the head of the mob is being like tried for something like bullshit that he's going to get off on, and they publicly execute him and then like get the fuck out of there. But you find out like as they're doing that, all those detectives that were looking for them are like helping them now because they're like, well, these fuckers are just going to keep getting let go and they keep murdering people that like didn't do anything. So fuck it, do your renegade justice, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those like really like I don't know. It's a really good movie, but it's also like it's funny in a lot of ways, and the action is fun because it's not like the movies we get now. It's not like your John Wicks. Like the McManus brothers are not like these badass fighters. Like they can hold their own, but they're not going to kill 4 guys with a pencil the way John Wick does.
Right, and like part of Willem Dafoe's hang-ups in the crime scenes are it's like, well, nobody would do this. Why did this like professional hit get messed up or whatever? And it's because they're bumbling idiots that tried to do dumb shit that didn't work.
Exactly. I think actually in the hotel thing, he's like, these guys were professionals. Like they knew exactly what they were doing, even though this is so unorthodox. And it's like they're not professionals. Like literally, they just bought a bunch of guns from a guy they knew, and then had an argument over whether or not they needed rope. Right up to the point where they fell out of the ceiling and the rope saved them. Because like while they're crawling through the ducts, they both have like the rope like wrapped around them. And Norman Reedus is just like, your rope's really fucking heavy, man. Like I'm sweating because I've been carrying this 15-pound rope through these vents. And then they fall through the ceiling. But yeah, like there's just a lot of like stupid comedy in these movies that like they're not jokes, but they're funny still. And like they're definitely supposed to be funny. And like Willem Dafoe's just like, he eats up every scene he's in. Like I guess it's the final crime scene they do, the one outside of the one guy's house where the dad does show up for the first time and like they have that little bit of a shootout. That was the one where like he really starts to lose his mind and like he's like in the street, like shirt halfway unbuttoned, tie undone, like hair like crazy, just screaming in the streets. There was a firefight. It's like, obviously there was a firefight. There are bullet holes everywhere. But yeah, I love that movie. The sequel, not as good, but still fun. Yeah.
Isn't that the sequel? Wasn't that something they made fairly recently?
It's 2009.
So it was still 10 years after the first one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a movie that was kind of in development hell for a long time, and then finally came out, and unfortunately was not as good as the first one, but it was still actually a fun movie. I enjoy the second one. And then there is apparently a third one that has it also was in development hell for a long time, and as of late last year, Sean Patrick Flannery and Norman Reedus are officially signed on and producing the movie. So assuming they can get a script and everything like that, there may be a third Boondock Saints in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And it would work because each of these movies has ended on what not a cliffhanger where oh man, there's absolutely more to this, but on a scene where they can make more. The first one ended post the court scene, and then the second one ended with us finding out that Willem Dafoe was actually alive, even though we're told that he died. Not in the first movie, between movies, and that they're now planning a way to bust the brothers out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hopefully we get a third one. I like these movies, they're fun. Boondock Saints is a classic.
Yeah,
everyone should watch it. It's on I want to say it was on Hulu, maybe Hulu. Sound right? We did not pay for it. I know that much.
Oh, by the way, I'm really bad at looking at Steam. R.E.P.O stands for the Retrieve, Extract, and Profit Operation.
Okay, there you go. So Boondock Saints is on Prime, Hulu, Max, and Peacock. So you can kind of watch it anywhere.
Nice.
Yeah, fun movie. Worth watching. I wonder if the sequel is anywhere. No, the sequel you have to rent. But you know what? The sequel, good name. Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day.
Nice.
Yeah. And also, the whole movie takes place in Boston, too. So, them being, Irish and in Boston just fucking works.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's all I got. I really like Boondock Saints. If you've never seen it, you should watch it.
Nice.
Yeah. Anything else either you guys want to mention before we wrap up?
No.
Nah.
Good. But, yeah. So, in 2 weeks, we're going to watch The Prestige with, who's in that? Is that Hugh Jackman and Batman?
Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale.
Thank you. I was close.
David Bowie is Nikolai Tesla.
Oh, right. That's the one with Bowie in it. So there were two of these,
there's Prestige, and it was the other one was the Illusionist?
The Magician.
Yeah. It's The Illusionist, and that was with
Ed Norton, right?
Ed Norton as the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Or not as the Incredible Hulk, but I was going to say the Incredible Hulk, early Incredible Hulk, and that's why I was... But yeah, it's Ed Norton and Jessica Biel.
Yes. Yeah,
I believe right. That one that one is boring. That one was boring as fuck. Because
very similar to what happened in 1998 with Armageddon and Deep Impact. Armageddon, exciting. Deep Impact, not.
Honestly, I feel like I like Deep Impact more.
Of course you do. Of course.
I'm not saying Armageddon's a bad movie, but I've watched Deep Impact more than I've watched Armageddon. But Deep Impact was on cable TV a lot more frequently.
There you go. Bring back the cable.
But the Illusionist, I think that's Ed Norton and Jessica Biel. I think it's Jessica Biel. And it's all about him actually making a hologram, and this is still in around the era of early 20s, early 1920s, stuff like that, I think. And
1889.
There you go. Early 1920s, right there. But he can make a hologram of Jessica Biel after she's dead or something. I don't know. I remember that part, and I think my dad was watching it once. I lost interest. I was like, this isn't Wolverine and Batman. This isn't good. But I've actually not seen a lot of it, so.
Yeah, I actually really like the Prestige. I did not care for The Illusionist.
The Prestige is a great movie. It's a great movie.
But yeah, so in 2 weeks we'll watch The Prestige. And other than that, though, you can go find more of our content over at www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, rate us, review us, subscribe to us. It all helps. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. And Blue Sky, we are OneQuest, right, Rich? You looked it up last week.
I don't know.
Yeah, we're OneQuest on Blue Sky as well. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/OneQuestVideo. And you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And Rich, what does your streaming look like?
Twitch.tv/B_Walnuts. Video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Monster Hunter, Sea of Thieves, R.E.P.O. Probably starting in April. We're only going to do Monster Hunter once a week after the first content drop. So for now, that's just come hang out, see what I'm playing.
Nice. Very good. And with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yous.
Bye.